All right, let's get into the weekly discussion here. We got a review on our hands of a new Netflix anime. Are you ready for this one, Germs? Are you ready?
Drum roll.
Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. Yasuke. It's finally here. 6 episodes. The Black Samurai, based off of the historical figure. Yeah, let's get right into it. I'll start with you. What did you think of this anime, Germs?
I don't know. It was a really weird feeling, you know. It was a really I don't know how to feel about like the mix of the old school samurai and the like super spiritual and like the mechs and all that kind of stuff. It felt a little jarring in a way, but the overall story was it was nice. I wish we could see a little bit more of the Nobunaga and like his rise from the bottom from being a servant to being who he is. I wish there was a little bit more of his past in there. We kind of seen some jumps and and some of that, but it was really, I don't know how to really feel about it. Like I don't even know if I even gave it a score yet because I don't really know. Like it wasn't.
Let's get into it here. So I totally see what you're saying. The mix, so this anime has a huge mix between feudal Japan. It's based off of a historical character, Nobunaga, the warlord that he serves under. That is a historical figure. He actually lived. He actually reigned at one point. But it goes from feudal Japan to mechs and fantasy, like magical stuff. It's very interesting and I don't think it blends well. I'll just say it here at the top of the review. It's not bad. It's not.
It's jarring.
It's jarring. If you like action and you just want to see people get their heads cut open and shit, it's fun. But as a story, if you're really trying to get into something, it's too. It just doesn't mix too well.
It's all over the place.
Let me give you an example, right? So. If they want to do a feudal Japan story, but back in the day, all this stuff existed, mechs, fantasy, okay, you can try and work that in. You can do that, but make it consistent, right? Every time we get a flashback with Yasuke, none of that shit is happening. It's just samurais battling one another with their swords, with no magical elements, no mechs, none of that. And then we get to present day, which you'd have to assume is only, a decade or two in the future? I mean, it can't...
I think it's like 2.
Yeah, it can't be that much. It's in Yasuke's lifetime, right? And now we got... think of the band of misfits for the first 3 episodes, and later on too, but, we got the stand user with his little 2 spirit buddies. We got a giant mech. We got a girl that turns into a beast. We got a Catholic priest... that's in feudal Japan for some reason. It's interesting, man. It's interesting. We got these people that throw up, like these ninjas that throw up. I don't even know what the hell you call them, and all the spears come out of them.
Yeah,
these like paper bombs or something.
Talismans, whatever.
Yeah,
it's just a weird mix, man. Like, I think I really would enjoy this. I think the show would have been totally top tier if it stuck with just the feudal Japan, none of this mech or sci-fi. Yeah, we love it, but for a 6-episode thing, it kind of just muddled it, and like we had some giant, spirit on spirit battles that felt totally useless. It's like I came here to see Yasuke, and
yeah, me too. Okay, so so we don't like the setting. We don't like how the elements of the show. Let's get into the action and some of the other stuff. What did you think of the action of this series, Germs?
I think the action and the fight scenes were really beautifully animated and like really cool with some of the spirit and stuff. Like when the girls when she goes ham and starts throwing shit, it's like really cool. Like when that first beginning battle where it's like huge armies and giant mechs. Like this is some crazy ass shit, And it's just but like other than like if you take all those moments and like compared to wait, this should be like about Yasuke, it's like none of those moments are really about Yasuke. I really want to see how badass and how cool he was, but I felt like it was just like a weird mix of like a little bit of Yasuke and then just all this other random bullshit that you don't really care about.
Yeah, so let's just say this from the top. If you're expecting a historical anime that is maybe like loosely based off of his story, but maybe like the action scenes are a little bit dramatic, or maybe like there's some powers to it, you don't go into this with that type of expectations. It doesn't really cover his journey. It covers his journey a little bit, but then you go back to the present day and you have a bunch of crazy shit going on. So if you're expecting a good docuseries on Yasuke in anime form, you're going to be severely disappointed. And I feel like Mappa was aware of that, because the very first episode, the very first scene of the first episode, you see you remember the big battle, the war scene? You see mechs flying, you see powers and shit. Like right from the first minute of hitting play, you know that this is going to be some fantasy shit. So yeah, just know what you're going into. You know what I mean? Going into this, I had two scenes that I wanted to see that were historical. One scene they animated, the other scene they did not. But the scene that I wanted to see that they did do was when Yasuke is introduced to all the Japanese people, they want to scrub him down because they're like, why do you have all this dark stuff on your skin? They've never seen a black man before. So, you know, I don't want to bag on it too much, but I feel like they could have made that more comedic or more, you know, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. Because that was, you know, when you read about Yasuke, that's a big story. That they've never seen a human with dark skin, and that they wanted to scrub him off. The whole backstory with Yasuke is that there was no black samurai at the time, right? He was a foreigner. He was an outsider. He was a slave. I mean, they used the term servant. I don't know why. I mean, there's tons of blood and gore in this anime. I know that it's not trying to be historically accurate, but I don't know why they wanted to tone that down a little bit and use servant instead of slave. I mean, it's, you know, but anyways, he was a servant, gained his freedom through fighting. And yeah, his whole story is that he's an outsider. They wanted to scrub his skin because they had never even seen skin like his before. They didn't know that people of African descent existed. You know what I mean? So I got that scene, but it wasn't as funny or it didn't hit as much as it could have. You know, but yeah, so curb your expectations going into this, but the fight scenes are good. You know what this reminds me of, Germs? It reminds me of another Mappa show. God of High School, a little bit, right? The fight scenes are good, but if you're looking for a really engaging, serious story, you're going to be disappointed. Yeah. This story, I took Yasuke more serious than God of High School. Because God of High School was that's just one of the crazy shit, right? But I can see how this could be more disappointing because you're expecting a grounded story about Yasuke and you get all this crazy shit.
It's the name of the show, you know?
Yeah, and if they kept the fantasy element throughout the whole runtime, it would have been a little bit more seamless. But every time you go back to Yasuke's history, you know, he gets in fights and it's just sword fighting. It's just normal non-fantasy stuff. But then you get to present day and you got mechs, you got all types of crazy shit. You got Saki, who has, you know, her psychic powers and her telekinetic powers. I mean, I just wish that and Yasuke, if everyone has powers, why doesn't Yasuke have powers, right? Like, do some people have powers and others don't? Again, if you're going into this trying to look for a serious story, you might be a little bit disappointed. You would think Yasuke would have some sort of fantasy power to him because he's the main character of the series, but no, you're not going to get any of that. So definitely curb your expectations going into this one. Did you watch this in dub or sub?
Well,
let's hear it.
I personally watched it in sub because you know he spoke Japanese. You know, it's all Japanese, so it's like, okay, you know, I kind of want to hear how him speaking Japanese and all that stuff. I listened to the dub bit. Sounds good. You know, it's Netflix dub. You never go wrong with it. But I just felt like it was a little bit more historically accurate to go to the sub. Just, you know,
right.
That's where he is from, where he is at, you know, and all that. So,
and if they were definitely adapting his life, in a more faithful way, then I feel like that would have been a little bit more warranted. But yeah, this this has mechs and stuff, so it's a little it goes off the rails. The sub was good though, I assume.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you
Yeah.
watched it in dub.
I watched it in dub just to see what it was like. The dub is really good. If Netflix can do two things right, they do really good dubs, and the soundtracks are always good. Awesome soundtrack. This show. Such an eclectic range of music, and it all fits. It feels black, but it also has like electronic stuff sometimes. Then you go to more old school Japan sounds they throw in there. Like,
Yeah, it's
just
really
really
mix.
a wide range of stuff, and I feel like they did a really good job on it. Would you agree with that, Germs?
Yeah, I definitely agree. The only thing that was a little weird was the OP. It was a lot more chill than I was expecting. I felt I felt like I could have just taken a nap or something, or like it wasn't bad. It was just really weird how slow, and like the visuals were kind of more like, I don't know, felt really weird visuals to me. But it was okay. But all the other music and everything, whew, nice mix. But it's Netflix, so it's great to see that they're continuing up with the quality they usually do, unlike some other shows.
Yes, and we'll talk about it in just a second. Yeah, musician Flying Lotus is the composer for the series, and yeah, that's another thing to talk about. So they contracted Mappa to do the series. I think we can both agree, without knowing your opinion, I think we could both agree that this was a much better series than name escapes me, Way of the House Husband, which was contracted through JC Staff. So when Netflix works with the right studio, they can get us better animation and better fight scenes and stuff like that. But yeah, I just think the direction of the series, storyline wise, was a little bit off, as we've pointed out. Anything in particular that you want to talk about before we wrap this up and talk about future plans for Yasuke?
I thought there was a little nice little moment when the rogue chick, it was like episode like 4 or 5, when like the rogue like was in the towers, like, oh, I hear something, like they just get killed, and the robots are like, oh, you there? And then it's like, oh, friend, you there? And it's like, oh shit, and the robot just like self-destructs in sequence initiating. It's like, oh shit. It's like the robot felt his friend's dead, and it's like, oh shit, self-destruct. And I'm like, ooh. But that was just a random little thing. But dude, magic is, I just have this in big letterings, magic is too OP. Like whenever any magic would show up, like, oh, anyone that doesn't have magic,
OP. Yeah, definitely agree with that, because if you don't have magic in this universe, like Yasuke, how does Yasuke even survive? I don't understand, man. It's almost like 20 years ago they didn't have magic, but nowadays they have magic. And Saki, which is basically the secondary character of the series, you're going to be following her a lot. I thought it was going to be the boy that they introduced in the beginning, but really it's Yasuke's journey with Saki, yeah. And I wish that they would have had more bonding time, honestly, man. Like, she looks up to him, he's protecting her, and we just didn't get enough good character stuff with them. Instead, we were focused on crazy, ridiculous fights that kind of meant something. Maybe they didn't mean much at all, but come on, if we're going to have those two characters as the forefront of the series, I really would have liked to have seen them interact more, maybe like a father-daughter type of relationship, like a mentor. She looks up to him, but she's also strong and protects him as well. He's not just protecting her. Like, they could have gone some interesting areas with it, and not really. It just kind of falls flat,
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like if they got rid of all those extra random scenes, all those other side characters, they would have had time to fill it in with all those kind of moments. Like, remember like that whole they're like, oh, leave us, and Yasuke and Saki went off to their thing, and then they're like, oh, let me protect this temple, and like, oh, let's go defend this temple and all this other stuff. And it's like all those random side moments that didn't really mean much could have totally just been time spent towards Saki and Yasuke here, I feel like they really went into the side characters a little too much, and really should have focused on Yasuke with these 6 episodes. It's only 6 episodes. Why you go into other things?
I know. And yeah, I mean, I can say good things about it though. The voice actors were great. They have Johnny Young Bosch. If you're into dubs, or if you know anything about him. He's done a bunch of great stuff. He's done Vash the Stampede from Trigun. He did Ichigo for Bleach, so you're gonna notice that voice in there. Voice acting's great, action's great. The setting is too discombobulated for me. It's too all over the place. I really, really liked when they'd go back into Yasuke's story. Those were the best moments of the show. His relationship with Natsumaru, the spy, the chick that he would train with, and right before he kills her, she's like, you know, he basically is like, you were a spy. There's no honor in this, and she's like, well, not completely. Like she wasn't. Their relationship wasn't completely a fluke. Like she did enjoy the time with him, but she also was loyal to her master in spying on Nobunaga. They went into that a little bit, and I like that they went into that, but they could have went into that more, in my opinion, because that was a really, if you think about it, he's doing his job serving his army. She's doing her job serving her army. She admits to him their relationship wasn't completely fabricated. She did enjoy the time with him, but the question of like, was that really dishonorable? I mean, he's serving his army, she's serving hers. Like, if they asked him to be a spy, you know, you would assume that Yasuke would do the same thing because he's loyal to his lord. You know what I mean? So again, they could have went into that a little bit more. Every time they'd go to his past, I loved it, dude. Then they'd go to the present, and I found it entertaining. Right? I found the first villain of the show, the priest, very entertaining. We got to get into the villains here. The priest, very entertaining, a wacko. But what is he doing in Japan? Why is Saki so important that he's trying to track her down? And then the daimyo, which is interesting because the daimyo is historical, but obviously this daimyo is a fantasy creature, right? So I just feel like there was so much potential, and they really could have taken this in interesting, fun places. And it is fun. This is a very fun show. If you want to watch something fun like God of High School, watch this. This is fun. You're going to get a lot of action. But yeah, the direction was it was interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Any final thoughts before we give it a rating and talk about the future here, Germs? Anything in particular that you want to bring up?
No, I think I brought up everything that I wanted to talk about. Great action, you know. The Yasuke stuff was great, but there just wasn't enough of it, unfortunately. Especially with only being 6 episodes, I feel like they should have focused a little bit more on that. But that's just how the cookie crumbles, you know. So that's my thoughts on that.
What are you ranking it out of 5?
I really don't know. I want to give this a good score so you see more of it, and you know, but
let me ask a question before you get into this. Would it make it easier if I asked you out of 10? Because we usually rate stuff out of 10 for like our mouths and stuff like that.
Out of 5 is fine. Out of 5 is fine.
Yeah.
Just more to like, you know, 5 is like, you know, definitely go watch it. You know, 4 is like, it was really good.
A 5 isn't perfect, but a 5 is like, I highly recommend this. This is the good shit. And then a 1 is like, stay away from this. This is terrible. You know what I mean? So for reference, for our past reviews, we gave the Mugen Train a 5. And I don't remember what you gave it, but I gave Way of the House Husband a 1. So just to show you, like a 5 is like, you love this shit. A 1 is like, stay away from this. I hated it. So
yeah, it's really hard. I feel like I want to give it like a 3. Like it felt like so average, but at the same time, it's just a lot of stuff I wanted to see, I didn't get to see. So I think I want to give it a 2. Unfortunately, there's a lot of good stuff and nice little nuggets in there. And luckily, it's only 6 episodes, so it's not like you have to like watch the whole 24 episode thing just to get disappointed. You know, it's 6 episodes. You know, you'll be a little bit disappointed if you're expecting Yasuke, but you know, if you know beforehand, there isn't too much about him. The 2, not great, not bad. It's just kind of meh, unfortunately.
3 is like average to you, so this would be like a little bit below average to you.
Yeah, below average, but it's 6 episodes, so like if you want to watch it, you know, if you're you want a little bit, go watch it. But if you just have other things to watch, I'd probably just say watch something else. Unfortunately.
Yeah, listen, I think LeSean Thomas, the director, I think he took it in an interesting way. He's also worked on like the Boondocks and other great stuff like that. Yeah. I think they had a lot of good ideas here. They had a lot of material to work with. I'm not saying that Yasuke is the most documented person ever, but they have some stuff like that one scene I mentioned that they did, but I feel like they kind of didn't do it justice. I mean, Again, I was fine. We knew kind of going in that there was going to be some fantasy stuff. I wish it was more
Max, yep.
consistent. I wish Yasuke had abilities if everyone else has abilities. I'm not asking for everything to be explained, but maybe just something. It just felt a little weird to me. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. Great voice acting, great music, great fights. Visuals are great. Yeah, animation, no problems. Mappa did a good job. Not the best of their performance, but they were just contracted to do a little 6-episode Netflix series. If you want a fun series, watch it. If you want some great action, give it a try, especially if you like samurai stuff. This reminded me of another anime series, Samurai 7, which the Samurai 7 are also a historical group. And that show had mechs. Very bland, forgettable show. I watched it like 10 years ago. I don't remember shit from it, but it kind of reminded me of that. So yeah, Yasuke, it was there. I mean, for 6 episodes, you can't really go wrong with 6 episodes, right? It's not like we invested, a full runtime into this. So yeah, Jerem's going to give it a 2. I'm going to give it a 3. But here's some Yasuke news before we do leave you guys hanging. Flying Lotus, the musician, which I referenced earlier, and executive producer of Yasuke, tweeted that the 6-episode first season is just the beginning. So we're going to put that tweet right there. And yeah, so there's big plans for Yasuke in the works. Maybe this was just an introduction. If there is a season 2, another 6 episodes or whatever they do, are you going to be interested in watching it, Germs?
Yeah, I hope I'll watch it. I hope it's Mappa again. So
Yeah.
you never know with Netflix kind of stuff. So I'm definitely interested to see more. Hopefully, I don't know how it's going to stand out. Maybe they'll give a little bit more backstory. Now we'll actually focus on him and Saki and their kind of parent father-daughter relationship. So if it focuses more on that, I'm excited. Hopefully it doesn't go too out wacky with the powers, but if it stays consistent with how stuff is going, I'll watch it. Not gonna be super excited, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point that you brought up. If Mappa picks this up again, I will watch. If it's not Mappa, I don't think I'll watch. The biggest point of this series, you're not here to really learn about Yasuke or his historical significance. You're here really for the fights. If it's not Mappa, and let's say it's JC Staff, right? Let's say JC Staff picks this shit up. I ain't watching that second season, but if it's Mappa, I'll continue. Hopefully it's not something ridiculous. Maybe it'll be another 6 or so. Netflix really does their own thing. You know what I mean? When they license their own anime, they're the Netflix model, the bingeable model. I found the show to be very bingeable. They drop a whole series all at once, so yeah. All right, so that is our thoughts and our review on Yasuke. We hope you guys enjoyed that. What did you think of Yasuke? If you guys checked it out, leave a comment down below.